All right. Welcome back to the Cinematics Podcast. This is our season finale. We've gone through 10 movies, that we've had dedicated episodes to, but we have made a 12-movie bracket, and we're going to be doing a bracket-style, way to figure out what is the best movie that we've watched.
So we kind of split Dune into two, since it's two movies, and we split Star Wars into two. So Star Wars 1 and 2, New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, I think, and then obviously Dune Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, so the mashups that we have here, we're going to be making our way down this way, and then we're going to do the other side there, and then, these get kind of like a little bye round, and then they're going to go against the winners of these two, just like a typical bracket. Early bets, what are you thinking is going to
I absolutely think probably Dune Part 2 is going to win.
Yeah, I could see a Dune Part 2 pull. It's going to have a wild ride because it also will likely have to go against Star Wars 2 because that's going against Snakes on a Plane. But we'll see what happens. So our first matchup here was Dune Part 1 and Mad Max. These were the first two podcasts that we did as well, which I think is kind of interesting.
Right,
and this was from our Sandy movie special.
Sandy movies.
So thoughts? What are we thinking is going to take this?
I would say probably Dune Part 1. Mad Max was a good movie. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it, but I think Dune Part 1 probably just has the better, I think it's just a better movie, to be honest. I think it's cooler, although I will say it's slower. It's slower, but it just has such a great score. I love all of the scenes in it, like the fighting scenes. It's just a good movie.
It's like a full movie of edge, bro. Like the second movie is all of the payoff, but this is probably one of the best edging movies of all time. I would definitely give this one to Dune Part 1. And Mad Max is a great movie, though. I enjoy Mad Max.
Absolutely.
It's hard to say. It's not hard to say. I know I want Dune Part 1 winning this, but
I agree.
It's hard to just knock off Mad Max in the first round. If it was going against something else, like maybe, I don't know, Zodiac or Snakes on a Plane, it might have a chance, but I think we're going to give round
Dune Part
1.
On this
Dune
one,
Part 1. Yeah.
Okay. Dune Part 1 wins.
All right, and Dune Part 1, it's got a pretty tough matchup as well. Next, it's got to go against Shutter Island, and
So Shutter Island and Scooby-Doo have buy-in, so they basically just go into the second round instantly.
Yeah, and I would say it's going to be a tough matchup. I wouldn't say that Shutter Island has like a top 3 potential here, but anything can happen. So next we have Star Wars and Zodiac. We were talking about the very first Star Wars, A New Hope, and the Zodiac Killer movie, which I didn't watch, but I had watched several years ago. And
so Zodiac and Star Wars, honestly, both super duper good movies.
Yeah, and this is definitely one of our more dark horse matchups because there is not very much alike between these two movies at all.
Is this Star Wars 1 or 2?
This is the first Star Wars.
First Star Wars. Okay.
New Hope.
This is. I feel like this is actually a really hard matchup. I actually don't know on this one. Like the other one, I was like, yeah, obviously Dune wins, but this one, I don't know, because Zodiac is. It's a really fun movie. Like that was a really good movie.
I mean, that means a lot from you, especially considering I know that you're a massive Star Wars fan.
Yeah, I love Star Wars. Star Wars is like one of my favorite franchises ever. But I don't know if Zodiac was really fun though. It was a really cool movie. Like I loved learning about all the Zodiac stuff, knowing all the behind the scenes stuff with it too, kind of like all the stuff with it. Like it's a really enjoyable movie to watch. A little slow at parts, but it's pretty fun.
So does that mean that you're taking Zodiac on this one?
I don't know. Well, I want to hear your argument. Let's see if you can persuade me which way.
I was going to say Star Wars on this one.
You were going to say Star Wars.
And I like Zodiac, but I mean, maybe I would feel different about it with some recency bias if I actually watched the movie when we did the podcast. But like I said, I had seen the movie and I knew a lot of fun facts and stuff, so at least there was that. So I have an appreciation for all the behind the scenes effort that went down in the movie, but I don't think that it has nearly the cultural significance that Star Wars does.
It's true. Okay, that's fair.
But actually, you know what? If we are going movie for movie, just straight, enjoyability factor, I might go Star Wars. But as far as like how well made it was, Zodiac, I don't know.
If I was going well made, I'd actually go for Star Wars.
Really?
I think Star Wars at the time, that movie was so ahead of its time. Yeah. Like it's such a. I love. I actually think you've convinced me here. Star Wars 1, I think, actually absolutely takes it. Because I think, looking at it all the way it's made, having all the little tiny figurines and it's just making it look so larger than life, though. Mm-hmm. Having, just introducing yourself to that whole story and everything like that. It's honestly just such a good movie. I think I have to give it to Star Wars here. I
well,
think this is so much better of a movie.
Well, let's backpedal here.
Okay.
Zodiac is significantly more realistic than Star Wars. I'm just kidding. That doesn't fucking.
I was about to say.
I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I mean, I'd have a hard time giving it to Zodiac, even though I do like the movie a lot. It's, you know, there's not a movie in the world with more cultural significance than Star Wars, probably. So
Yeah, like, and I hate to just give it to him, like, but I
but
really
it
do
really
think
isn't.
that it's just a good movie. Too.
Yeah.
Like, even if we take away just like cultural significance and all that, if we're just basing it straight off of, you know, scores, like, just is it a really good movie, storyline, stuff like that, like, I still think Star Wars takes it. Like, Zodiac was a good movie, but it was really slow. There was no payoff at the end, which, well, there was a little bit, but it's all kind of guesswork too. They don't actually know. I haven't seen. I feel like Zodiac. I feel like I should have rewatched these movies recently. Zodiac was a good movie, but I feel like there was definitely flaws in it. Star Wars is a masterpiece.
All right.
I don't even know why I was debating this. Star Wars is definitely better.
I was very shocked that you were.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and put Star Wars as the winner of this matchup.
Yeah, I think so. Should put that on the bottom because Scooby-Doo is going to be on the top. Because it's like coming in if you like.
Oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sure. Star Wars. All right.
So our winners here are Dune Part 1 and Star Wars.
Yeah, so we're going to return to this round 2 on the left side of the bracket after we go through over here. I think we have some crazy matchups on the right side, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, we're starting with Watchmen and Fant Four Stick, though.
Honestly, I actually feel like this is a little bit a harder one. I didn't love Watchmen. I thought that was an okay movie.
Yeah, I mean, I rated it lower than you did. I just thought it was boring as hell.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of boring. Like, it was a cool idea. Like, and the Watchmen idea is really cool, but I didn't really vibe with any of the characters other than the one Batman character that kills people.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting his name.
Rorschach.
Like, he was cool. I liked his mask and everything like that. Like, it's a cool idea. It's kind of boring though. There was I don't know. Like, it wasn't a terrible movie, but it was definitely not like amazing. But then you have Fant Four Stick, which is genuinely a fucking terrible movie and horrible and literally the worst thing I've ever seen. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
Well, when you put it like that, it really
worse.
sounds like you're going to go with
It'd probably be Watchmen, but I'm not going to lie, it's not like it. I would actually say it's probably closer than you would think.
Yeah, in fact, I would want to put Fant Four Stick forward.
Really?
I don't know. I really don't want to say that.
Let's hear your arguments.
The time went by a lot faster watching Fant Four Stick. I thought it was much less of a waste of my fucking time. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think.
I don't know, man. I don't think the Watchmen thing was for me. And what's weird is that, like, I mean, like, I talked about this on the podcast, but when I watched it for the first time, I was a really big fan, but I just was not on. I think this was my third viewing of the movie, and I just really was not a big fan of it. And I hated Fant Four Stick.
Yeah, Fant Four Stick was a terrible movie. I can't give it to Fant Four Stick just out of principle. It was such a bad movie, and they did such a bad job.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, if this was against, like, I don't know, Snakes on a Plane, I'd give it to Fant Four Stick.
Wow.
Snakes on a Plane was genuinely a horrible movie.
But Snakes on a Plane has Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
and it was an original idea.
It still doesn't make it. Like, Fant Four Stick was bad, but Snakes on a Plane was terrible.
Look, how many superhero movies have you seen? But how many? I mean, plenty, right? But you haven't seen that many movies about snakes on a plane.
Yeah.
You've probably seen one of them.
I've seen one movie about snakes on a plane. Do you want to know why I've seen one movie about snakes on a plane?
Why?
It's not that good of an idea.
But why do they make all these damn snake on a blank, fill in the blank spoof
Snake
films?
on a train, snake on a plane, snake in a car. There's only one person in that film.
That's because it was a really good idea.
It wasn't, though. That's the thing. That's why there's not any other idea, like people making these movies.
So maybe we should have actually done the matchup between Fant Four Stick and Snakes on a Plane.
We should have.
You know,
that could have been more interesting. This isn't a very interesting. This is just shit.
If the bracket allows, that could happen further on down the line.
It's not going to, though. Snakes on a Plane is not going to win.
Against Star Wars 2?
Yeah, Star Wars 2 is like literally easily one of the best films on here.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I love Star Wars 2. Star Wars 2 is so much... Star Wars 1 is really good, but I like Star Wars 2 the most, in my opinion. Star Wars 2 is the best film.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I agree. Watchmen should go forward. I didn't actually like Fan Four Stick. I just wanted to play the devil's advocate for a minute
fair.
because I think it would just be a boring episode if we just agreed on everything.
Yeah, that's the only issue. Is like I feel like we're actually really kind of similar on a lot of these. Like I don't know how much we're gonna be debating,
But look, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't even want to put Watchmen forward. I would really rather put Fan Four Stick forward because I know that it's going to get a brutal fucking pounding from Deadpool and the Wolverine.
That's true. It's
because
definitely gonna lose.
and I enjoy watching a nice little brutal fucking pounding every once in a while. So, but I think Watchmen's gonna get the same treatment anyway. Not to give any spoilers, but I'm gonna go ahead and put Watchmen here.
Yeah, I think that's
we'll do
correct.
that. Okay, I need to stop spoiling the list. I mean, you can see it. You know, the audience knows what's going to happen just as well as we do.
Yeah. I feel
know.
like some of these are like pretty easy matches up, but I think once we get a little bit farther in, I'm kind of interested to see where we go.
I mean, it's going to be crazy whenever we're getting, you know, Dune Part 1 going against Shutter Island and Star Wars going against Scooby-Doo. And I mean, like, it's going to get wild. We're going to get some wild matchups here. All right, but our next matchup is probably one of the hardest of the first round. We've got Star Wars 2 and Snakes on a Plane. What do you think? I mean, I think that Star Wars 2 was a sequel, okay, and The Snakes on a Plane was an original idea, and it had Samuel L. Jackson.
You couldn't even say it with a straight face. It's such a bad... There's not even a point. I don't even know why we put these two up against each other.
Are you going to debate me on this, or are you just going to
No!
be an asshole? Okay, look.
This doesn't warrant a debate. It's so bad. I don't even need to say anything, and you're gonna put Star Wars forward. I'm just gonna look at you.
You think I want to put Star Wars forward?
I know you do.
Okay, you're right.
'Kay.
So Star Wars is going to win this matchup against Snakes on a Plane, but I would say it might have been a little bit closer than Casey wanted to
No.
make it. You're being a little bit too straightforward with these, man. You have to give the other, the other movies a shot. You really got to think about it. you
Okay,
know?
this next one.
This one's going to be a
about.
thinker
This one's
for
gonna
sure.
be a good one.
This is a thinker.
Yeah.
It's Dune Part 1 and Shutter Island.
Shutter Island. I really liked Shutter Island.
You know how I feel about Dune.
Yeah, Dune is a really good movie, but
Yeah.
I really liked Shutter Island.
Yeah.
Shutter
okay.
Island was really, really good.
Okay.
Like I loved just like talking about the movie. I loved the twist at the end. Like the twist. By the way, spoilers for all of these movies. Just so you're aware. Like we might talk about the ending. So like if anyone doesn't want it, if you haven't watched our film things, you're starting here. Spoilers for all of these.
Yeah, that's a good point because people might, just want to start with the season finale because, fuck it.
I don't know why you would. But I'm just saying. Potentially, it's possible. Maybe they want to see how the way we talk and stuff like that. Instead of watching every single episode. I don't know. I don't know what people think.
Yeah, so I immediately want to put Dune Part 1 forward, but I want to hear what you have to say to convince me about Shutter Island.
It's hard because Shutter Island is such a good movie. I love the twist. I think the twist is genuinely one of the best twists I've ever seen, and it's so unexpected that makes it so much better too. Like it's also one of those films where if you watch it back, it's like, oh, I actually completely see this. Like you can kind of guess it watching it back.
That's true.
But going into the first time, you think there's going to be a twist. There's so many twists that they can set up that it's going to be. And then none of it, and it's just that he's just insane.
Yeah, and the second watching of this movie is a real trip because you just it becomes way more obvious to you than you would have expected.
Yeah,
it's like, whoa, there were all of these signs written right on the wall, and I didn't pick it up until way into the end of the movie. It's kind of crazy. I've just seen the movie so many times that I think it might be persuading me to pick Dune Part 1, and I just I love the Dune series so much. Dune, oh my gosh, there's not a film. Oh my gosh, I have such a soft spot for it. There's not a film atmosphere in the world like Dune. It's insane.
I mean, it's a cool movie. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love Dune. I think Dune Part 1 and Part 2 are really good. But I do think that Dune, the issue, one of the big issues I have with Dune, especially Part 1. Part 2 doesn't really have this as much. But Part 1 is so slow. It is like a 3-hour movie, and like an hour of it, nothing happens.
Oh, if this is Dune Part 2 we're talking about here, this isn't a question.
Yeah, I think if it was Part 2, I probably would say Part 2. But since it's Part 1, it's a much slower movie. It's a lot more building. I absolutely think it was correct to do Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
I think that was the best decision they made.
For sure.
But in saying that, I also think that Part 1 is way slower. I think it's not as good of a film. There's still some really cool scenic shots. There's some really cool cinematography. The soundtrack is amazing. Like I personally actually even have a playlist, and I have it on that playlist.
Really?
I love listening to that shit. I love soundtracks are super fun, especially video game soundtracks. But I really do, like, I love these films, and I love this film, but I think Shutter Island, in my opinion, I think the Leonardo DiCaprio also just brings out Shutter Island so much.
Yeah.
He does such an amazing job in that film.
Yeah.
Same thing with, like, I don't know all the actors. I suck at actors' names. His partner, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo does such an amazing job in this film. I think that just both of them bring this film to, like, such a masterpiece quality that, like, it's so good.
Yeah.
I personally think Dune Part 1 wins. I mean, not Dune Part 1, Shutter Island wins.
I know what you meant. Yeah, I mean, you're selling me here. I'll go ahead and say Dune Part 1 is not going to advance this match. It made it a long way. It's hard to see it go. There's not that many rounds. Okay?
There isn't.
It's hard to see it go, but Shutter Island, it's a great movie. What can I say? So we'll go ahead and I guess I should do, like, I don't even know how. I'll just cross this out and put Shutter
Put it
Island.
right here.
No, because then that's going to mean that it would be going.
Oh, you're right. It goes there and then in there. You're correct.
Shutter. I'm just going to put Shutter. Y'all know what I mean. Y'all can't even see this.
I don't even. Yeah, you actually
So-
they can see it. Or Brock has his own thing. Like, he's making his own.
Name reveal. God
Yeah.
damn. That was our past guy, by the way. This is Brock.
That. Can we bleep that, please? That's my bad.
That was our past.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Past guy.
That's our past producer.
production,
He no
yeah.
longer works here. He kind of got into trouble for some
With
shit.
Brock.
With Brock, there was a fight. It was a whole thing. We're not going to bring it up anymore. Okay.
And
next
so
movie.
then there was Scooby-Doo and Star Wars.
Star Wars 2,
Star Wars 1.
Star Wars 1.
The very first Star
So
Wars.
I do think Scooby-Doo has to take this.
I think so too.
I think Scooby-Doo's such a funny film. It's so good in so many levels. Like, even if you're just looking at it as, like, pure plot, it just beats every other movie, to be honest. Like, it's so good.
Look, we're going to have a hard time knocking off Scooby-Doo because the enjoyment factor with that film is actually kind of unparalleled as far as what I've seen from the rest of this bracket. That's why I got the bye round. I didn't even see it having a point against going against a movie like Zodiac, which
No,
is
it
out
would
of
just
the fucking
instantly
water.
win.
So we're going to go ahead and
Like, the CGI on this film, the plot on this film, the comedic timing on this, the fart jokes.
There was that one really hot girl too.
There's
in the
the
movie.
one hot girl.
I like that
There's
scene a
basically
lot.
no reason not to give Scooby-Doo a win against Star Wars 1. I love Star Wars, but
Look,
easily.
Let's go baddie for baddie here. We had that one girl that, just tempted, what was his name, Shaggy, to the dark side. Or we have Leia. Who was badder?
Honestly,
I think everybody fucking knows the
hot
answer to
take
that.
here. Leia's not even that good looking in the films.
Totally agreed with you there. We're going to go ahead and knock off Star Wars and put Scooby-Doo through to the, I think
Third round.
that's the third round. Yeah,
Yeah.
this would be the third round matchup. Scooby. Okay. Now we have Watchmen versus Deadpool and the Wolverine.
I mean, it's easy. Deadpool, Wolverine, right?
Oh, wow. You're not even going to make a case for Watchmen here, huh?
No. Well, Watchmen's not a bad film. I really don't think it's a bad film. It's interesting to watch. It's just really boring, and I personally didn't really connect with any of the characters too much. The plot was okay. Like, it was, like, not my favorite. The CGI was cool in some of the parts. There was a couple fight scenes that were kind of interesting. Like I said, I really liked Rorschach, but I don't know if I connected enough with this movie to where I could beat with Deadpool Wolverine, which was genuinely such a funny movie. It was really funny. Action was amazing. I love Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds did such an amazing job. Same thing with why am I forgetting Wolverine's name? What's his actor's
Hugh
name?
Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Huge Jackman.
Ackman. Huge Ackman.
Huge Ackman.
When I look at Watchmen, I look at a movie with a lot of things that I feel like just don't even really belong together in the same movie. Like, what the fuck was that weird tiger thing? And then, like,
There's also a rape scene in Watchmen, and I think we should just get rid of it just because of that. I fucking hate those scenes.
Yeah, did
They're
you know
so
that I've
uncomfortable.
actually, since we watched Deadpool Wolverine and did that, like the first week that it came out, by the way, kudos to us for actually pumping that one up.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was actually well orchestrated as fuck. But I watched Deadpool and the Wolverine 3 times in theaters.
I could barely sit through one episode of The Watchmen or one movie of The Watchmen.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know why I did it, but I just, the opportunity kept coming my way and I just kept taking it. And I think that really means a lot about the enjoyment factor of the Deadpool and Wolverine. Did you hear that Ryan Reynolds was saying that he might never play Deadpool again?
No.
What the fuck?
What? Why?
I don't know.
Did he actually say this?
Or maybe he said he's not going to do a Deadpool movie again. Maybe he'll appear in other stuff.
He'll do cameos.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, like,
That
they set up
sucks.
so much for him to continue being in this.
Yeah.
Like,
I would
Marvel
hate that
Jesus.
would be the case.
I know.
I love the Deadpool movies. I understand it, and I really hope when he says that, it's just not. There's no more standalone movies.
Yeah,
but he's
I
gonna
hope so.
show up in other movies, like a lot. Like he's gonna be like not main character, but like be a characters in those. Like that would but it still sucks because Deadpool is such a good movie. But yeah, that would not be fun.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a better cast in the world than Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. So
Absolutely, that was such a good cast.
I love Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
I just like Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is such a good actor. He's
Yeah.
so funny.
Speaking of cinematic Ryans, while we're doing this little bracket thing, Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Gosling? What do you got?
Ryan Reynolds. What? Ryan Reynolds is hotter.
Wow. Okay. Well,
And he's funnier. He's a better personality. Ryan Gosling, I'm not gonna lie, hot take, kind of shit.
I literally don't know what you're talking about, and I'm not going to debate it with you. But Ryan Gosling is better, and so is Deadpool.
That's
and
like putting
Wolverine.
Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth up against each other. Like Chris Hemsworth wins.
Okay.
It's not even a debate.
Yeah. Okay. So Well, we can make a whole bracket out of. Actually, that would be kind of fun.
That would actually be kind of fun doing actors and seeing which actors we like more on all these movies.
That's kind of an idea.
Yeah.
But we already have an idea for season 2's Ender, and it might even be better than what's going on here, which is kind of hard to believe because
this is so fucking amazing.
This has been really great. So Star Wars Part 2 and Dune Part 2. This might be the hardest match. This is actually the hardest matchup we've got.
Is the hardest matchup.
Yeah.
I love Dune Part 2, but easily Star Wars 2 is one of the best films I've ever watched, in my opinion. Like, genuinely, it's like one of my favorite films. And it is a lot of nostalgia, but I love fucking Star Wars 2.
I'm not going to lie, man. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm putting Dune Part 2 over Star Wars 2. And I like Star Wars 2.
Which is absolutely a fair take.
Yeah.
I think Dune Part 2 is a really good movie, especially seeing it in movie theaters. Such a good movie. The cinematography's good, the action's good, the characters are good. Like, there's not really many downsides other than, like, it's a little jumpy around too much in my opinion. But other than that, like, I don't know, there's not really many downsides on Dune.
Yeah.
But Star Wars is also such a good movie in my opinion. I love the Hoth scenes. I love what they did with it. Like, it's so far back too. So like, they didn't have all the CGI we have today, and it still looks so good. I love all the characters in Star Wars. There's a little bit of incest, but that's okay. You know, they didn't know.
Okay, well, that is one thing I'll give to Dune. There is far less incest in the movie, and I really just I do not want to knock Dune Part 2 out. I really can't.
I feel like the thing is Dune Part 2 is such a good movie, but so is Star Wars. I don't want to knock Star Wars out.
Okay, well, I understand you being a little bitter because it got knocked out by Scooby over here, but I mean, come on, man.
No. I absolutely Scooby's better than Star Wars 1.
Yeah.
But Star Wars 2 versus Scooby that would be a hard debate. I don't
Yeah, but
know.
it's not going to happen because Dune Part 2 is, I think it's just going to have to take it.
All right, give me your arguments. Let's see if you can persuade me. We'll both give our arguments and see if we persuade each other. If we don't, I don't know, we'll have to come up with something to kind of put something
We can even put it down to rock, paper, scissors at that
I'm down
point.
for that. But
Okay.
let's hear your arguments.
Masterful use of CG.
Okay.
The movie was had a ridiculous scope to it, yet it felt extremely grounded because the CG work in it was absolutely perfect. Everything felt super believable. The plot was well orchestrated. The changes that he made from the book to the movie were to the benefit of the movie. I like the director's overall vision with the Dune story and what he's doing to change it and make it more focused. The atmosphere was extremely well done, and I've never been to a movie theater for 3 hours, stoned, by the way, and felt like I was there for maybe an hour. Like, dude, I was so locked into this movie. This movie has like a super special place to me. It's probably my favorite movie of the year. Actually, no, it definitely is. So I'm just gonna have a hard time letting anything knock it off.
Okay, you know what we're actually going to do? Instead of rock, paper, scissors, we're going to have Brock choose, since we can't decide, okay? So I'm going to give my arguments, and then Brock, you'll just say whichever one you feel like gave better arguments, that's who's going to proceed, okay?
That's fair.
Good? All right, so basically my whole thing with... I think Star Wars is such a iconic film. It came out, in the 80s? The practical effects in it are just so amazing. Having like Yoda's a puppet, you got all the AT-ATs, which is the first movies that it was in. AT-ATs, which are just so looks so cool. You have the fighters and everything like that doing the little swirls around the AT-ATs. Again, looks so cool. I love the cinematography in these films. It has the biggest reveal, if I'm being honest with you, the biggest reveal in any movie ever is the fact that Vader is Luke's father.
Man, I saw that shit coming, man. I had seen memes talking about
you
it
got
before.
spoiled. That's a difference.
Well, okay, well, look, man, I didn't live in the 80s, but however, I do live right now. And Dune Part 2, if I saw Star Wars 2 in theaters and I already knew that there was a plot twist going on, I would not, be shocked by the plot twist.
But this is in the 80s. No one knew.
Man,
Star Wars 2 is such an iconic film. The cinematography... Fuck, I can't speak. Cinematography
We're losing aura here,
amazing.
Casey, and it's looking like Dune 2 is about to pull it out, buddy. I'm not going to lie to you.
All of the characters are spectacular. I love, Luke, Leia... Han, all of them great characters. You got there's so many just iconic scenes in these movies. It's such a fun movie. It's actually really, really fun to watch. It's only 2 hours long too. You're not sitting through this slog of a 3-hour movie.
Whoa.
Which is, in my opinion, a detriment to Dune Part 2. I think it's really fucking long.
It is long.
Even though I know there's a lot to put in it, but that is a very long movie. I think Star Wars. I just think it's a better movie. It's not by a lot, but I do think Star Wars beats it out just barely.
Okay, let's get a verdict.
Verdict.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. All right.
All right.
It's been decided. Star Wars wins. Dune Part 2 is out.
That was hard for me. Okay. Now on to the real mashups.
Over here.
Back to the left side. We've got Shutter Island versus Scooby-Doo. So we actually ended up with 2 mystery movies. And I think that's really cool.
That is fun.
As far as which movie had the better mystery, I'm going to have to give it to Scooby-Doo. But it is close.
I think it's really close.
Yeah.
I think like I said before, Shutter Island is such a good movie. Love the twist. I love everything about Shutter Island. But Scooby-Doo just hits on so many different levels. No matter who's watching it, it's such a broad audience, yet it feels like they're talking directly to you the entire movie. It's such a good movie. It's hilarious on so many levels. It's heartfelt. I cried watching this movie. It's so good.
Yeah, real shit. And I'm not gonna lie, this is not Shutter Island's fault, but we know the mystery gang going into this movie. These are beloved characters to you, and what happens with the mystery, where they end up getting their souls and bodies switched, that had some real weight to it. But Shutter Island, you don't really know anything about the main character until the very end. You don't know the real him. And so it doesn't have nearly as much weight as Scooby-Doo.
Learning that the one guy was actually Scrappy-Doo?
Yeah,
biggest twist in cinematic. I said Star Wars. I actually think that was probably the biggest twist in cinematic history.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Completely unexpected.
Yeah, I didn't expect it at all either. They didn't really give you much to, believe that was going to be the case. And so...
Now, if you rewatch the movie, there's no way you would have known.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
it's supposed to be impossible.
The same could be said for Shutter Island, but when the reveal happens in Shutter Island, I mean, who the hell cares?
Honestly, fuck off.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, so
I think we just move Scooby.
Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and move Scooby.
I mean, I absolutely think so.
And it's Shutter Island's a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but
it's the
nature of the game. It's the nature of the game. All right, we got Deadpool and the Wolverine versus Star Wars.
Ooh, this is a hard matchup too, actually.
You think so?
I think so. I love.
So now you want to debate about another? Okay. Now you actually want to.
I love Deadpool Wolverine, but I still think Star Wars. Is really good, but at the same time, I actually think you could probably persuade me to put Deadpool Wolverine above it because I do think this is a good movie.
But I couldn't persuade you to put Dune Part 2 over.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, so
if I'm going for enjoyment factor, I think I enjoy Deadpool Wolverine a lot.
Yeah. I mean, there's not many movies that I can actually just go to a movie theater 3 times and enjoy it every single
time. But I also do think Star Wars 2 is such a good movie. I just have so much nostalgia for these movies. And it's also possible it's just nostalgia talking, but I love Star Wars. Yeah. Such a good movie. But let's hear, which one do you think?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I do think Star Wars 2.
You think Star Wars is better?
Yeah. But I also thought that Dune Part 2 was better. I mean, and I thought Dune Part 2 was better than Deadpool. I mean, honestly, Dune Part 2 is my favorite movie on this whole list.
Oh, so you feel gypped. You're like,
extremely
this should have won.
Yes. I feel like you're pushing Star Wars 2 through had a lot to do with Scooby obviously beating the fuck out of Star Wars 1.
I feel like Star Wars needed to get somewhere.
Yeah, and I think that it was actually horrible that, Dune Part 2 didn't get to get anywhere. Well, I guess Dune Part 1 made it past the first fucking round, but, I mean, it was against Mad Max, so whatever, But anyway, so...
To be fair, Dune Part 2 also got a buy-in. Like, we knew that if it would have gone against anything else, it would have gotten to the second round. It's just the fact that it went against Star Wars.
Yeah, but it should have gone to the third round, too. But,
I disagree.
So, Deadpool and the Wolverine has less cultural impact, and it has some weird CG... and Star Wars, 2 has...
Also, the shit villain.
Yeah, it kind of does. And I liked the villain on the first watching, but, I mean, obviously Star Wars villain is going to take it. Star Wars protagonist is going to take it. I think Star Wars...
I will say Deadpool's definitely funnier, though.
It is.
It's a really funny movie. Like, I really don't want to say, like, Deadpool's bad. It's absolutely an amazing movie. I love Deadpool Wolverine. I thought that was such a fun movie. A lot of people... I actually don't know if this is the case. I would bet a lot of people don't. Some people don't like it because it's a lot of fan service. I love the fan service. I think people that complain about fan service is fucking stupid. That's the whole point. It's fans. The fans, like, obviously there's fan service. Mm-hmm. It's so dumb to get upset about.
And I think if there's a movie to have, fan service, it would be a Deadpool movie.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect for it. All the fourth wall breaking, everything like that.
Yeah, that's just how it goes. But unfortunately. Even though it made it pretty far, Deadpool and the Wolverine...
I think Star Wars wins.
Has just been knocked out by Star Wars, too. It's an absolute powerhouse of a movie. But now, we have the matchup you've all been waiting for.
Now, this is a hard matchup. Star Wars versus Scooby.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to lie here. I like Scooby-Doo a lot.
Yeah.
But I also like Star Wars 2
a
great amount. And you know what? If this was Dune Part 2 we were talking about, I think this would be an easier matchup. I think Dune Part 2 would have blown it out of the water. But, since you were adamant on, having this matchup happen, I'd really like to see how this goes down because we have a very strong cast of characters in Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm. We have, the Mystery Gang. Literally one of the most iconic. Everyone knows the Mystery Gang.
Yes. I know almost every member in the Mystery Gang.
Almost every member. Who do you not know?
Well, if I had to name them, I would know them. So I don't know. Well, there's Fred.
Okay, one.
But Star Wars 2.
No, continue. Don't try to change the subject. Let's hear it.
No,
Let's see if you're a true.
No, okay, Fred, Scooby, Scrappy.
Scrappy is not a main person.
He's a side character.
He's a side character.
A lot of the episodes.
And debatable. Continue.
Okay, so
you got Fred, Scooby,
Velma, Daphne,
yes.
and Shaggy.
Good job.
Yeah, no, I knew them all. I don't
know. I was pretty worried you didn't know them.
Look, I'm not just gonna say, I'm not gonna be a know-it-all. Okay, I'm gonna leave some room for error here and there.
Why? Just say if you know it.
Okay, but so Star Wars 2, though, I don't actually remember all the main characters from that one. I think R2-D2 might have been in that one, and I'm pretty sure that Darth Vader played a role in that one as well. But beyond that,
have you seen Star Wars 2?
Yeah,
okay,
plenty of times.
Sure.
Okay, but here, I want to hear your case on it.
I actually have no idea on this one. Scooby-Doo's such a good movie. Star Wars 2 is such a good movie. It's a really hard matchup. Scooby-Doo enjoyment factor, I think, is through the roof. I think it beats Star Wars 2. But if you're talking about pure plot, even though Scooby-Doo is like a 10 out of 10, I think Star Wars is also like a 10 out of 10, so it's a really, really hard matchup. I don't know which one beats it.
All right, cut the shit, Casey. You know what beats it.
What do you think beats it?
I don't know, man.
What do you mean? You just said you knew.
I leave some room for error here and there, and I don't want to go with what my heart is telling me to do. But I've just been living my life on a whim recently, and I'm gonna have a really hard time deciding between the two of them because my mind is telling me one thing, but my body is telling me another. And there were way more baddies in Scooby-Doo.
True. There's no baddies in Star Wars 2.
That's true. There's just the same amount of baddies, and that is 0 from Star Wars 1.
If this was Star Wars 3, you'd have Leia in the bikini costume. Yeah. Obviously, then she's a baddie. Like, she looks really good. But in Star Wars 2, I don't know. She's got that white, robe on and everything like that. Got the hair. Never been a fan.
Look, which way do you want to go about this?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. This is a really hard choice. I'm leaning towards Scooby, I think.
You are?
I think I'm leaning towards Scooby-Doo.
Look, I think that it would just be a very controversial decision if we were to go with that.
I agree, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think it's okay to go controversial as long as you're right.
When you have a film podcast, you are obliged to say what you really feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been saying that I've been torn. There's something of a devil and an angel on my shoulder, and one of them is telling me to go with Scooby, and the other is telling me to go with Star Wars too. And let me tell you, I am also kind of leaning towards Scooby-Doo right now.
Yeah?
It would take a lot of convincing for me to choose otherwise, because I'm interested in breaking the mold. I feel like a lot of people would be willing to accept that Scooby-Doo is a better movie than Star Wars 2, but it's, these stupid fucking TikTokers telling them Star Wars 2 is the greatest movie of all time. We all know it's really true.
Scooby is the best film in all of cinematic history.
Until we get to season 2.
Well,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what I think would be fun is little I know we're doing this during the podcast, but be really fun is if we brought Scooby in as we did the same thing where it's he is actually the top, and it's just we have its own bracket and for all the season 2 stuff, and then we have Scooby-Doo versus whoever wins that bracket.
Yeah,
that could be fun.
All right, well, are we ready to make a decision here?
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah, we are going with Scooby-Doo being the best movie that we've watched in all of our 10 episodes on the Cinematics podcast. Boom, right there, Scooby-Doo.
Little check mark.
A #1 gold medal.
Hold on, I got. Look, he gets an airplane. He gets
Scooby-Doo won.
Scooby-Doo gets an airplane.
Let it be known.
Hang it right there.
All right. Well, this I suppose concludes season 1.
Yeah, it's a good season. I enjoyed it. I really love doing this. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I feel like there were some controversial opinions here and there, but I think that people are really going to be able to get down with what we're going for here, and it's been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
If God see it fit, I may return for a season 2. You never know what happens.
3 weeks later, Connor kicked out of Typhoon. Sexual misconduct.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. It's like a situation all over again.
Yeah, honestly, just let's not bring.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's in bad taste.
Yeah,
but
not bad taste.
Yeah, but I suppose that's just going to do it for season 1. This has been the Cinematics podcast, and this entire time for all 10 episodes, I've been Connor.
I have been Casey.
And we're going to catch you
on the flippity flip.
In the oh wow. All right.
Go watch the news. Goodbye.
That was a fucking odyssey, man. That was fun.